Hey guys, so this is another question from you. So I had a question from someone who said they've got a boss that they work with who's particularly difficult to handle, someone who's quite aggressive and can be quite demeaning in their attitude, and they want to know how they can handle that in that career while they're looking to make a move and do something different, get away from this person. So clearly the number one thing is if you've got somebody who's really difficult that you work with, a boss or a colleague or whatever, then the best thing to do is get out of that situation when you can, but that's not always the case and it's not always easily done straight away. So this person's working towards that. But in the meantime, one of the big things to understand when you've got somebody who's a real pain in the ass and someone who's difficult to deal with, who's your boss or colleague, etc., is people that normally behave that way or are difficult to work with or are angry or are aggressive because of their own crap, their own insecurities, their own difficulties. There are very, very, very few people in my experience who are just straight out sociopaths who want to be arseholes to other humans. So when you can look at that person, understand why they carry on the way they carry on, why they've got the aggressiveness or anger or frustration or domineering attitudes, whatever it might be, and maybe it might help you understand how you can better interact with them and how you can better work with them so you don't have the conflict. For this particular person, they gave me the details, a few of the details of what was going on, and there was a number of things going on. And one of them to me is the person that asked me the question is obviously very good at what they do. So there's an element that I believe that their boss is quite challenged by the fact that this person's probably better at the job than the boss is. And when you look at people who are managers or bosses or whatever in your job, just because they're in that position of power doesn't mean they believe they should be there. They still have their own insecurities and fears and doubts like everybody else. So it seems to me this person's probably quite challenged and has the same fears, doubts and insecurities. She may not feel like that they're any good at what they do. They might not feel like they are justified in having that position. They may feel like that the people that they're managing are better at it than they are. So there's a whole lot of challenges and insecurities for them, which can often come out in that aggression, can often come out in them attacking or being negative towards the people that work for them. Now it's not right, and it certainly isn't the best way to operate, but it is a possibility. And one of the things that I want the person asked the question to understand is it's actually their attitude and their behaviour is nothing to do with you. It's to do with themselves, their own fears, their own doubts, all their bullshit. It still impacts you because it makes your life less than enjoyable in that job. But it may well be there's a better way for you to approach it. It may well be that you actually sit down with that person and say, hey, I get the sense that you don't particularly like me, or we've got a bit of conflict, or there's something you're not happy about. Tell me what I can do differently to help with this conflict. Tell me how we can help work the situation out, because obviously it's pretty stressful for both of us. There must be a way around it. Because if you actually call the behaviour, sit down with them and have the courage to have that conversation, not aggressively, not angrily, but you just sit down and go, hey, listen, there's obviously a bit of a problem or a bit of tension between us. What can we do about it? And they go, well, there's not. You say, well, I feel there is. Like in this particular instance, this happened, or this particular instance, that happened. And I'm not here to fight you or whinge or complain about it, but I actually just want to find the best solution, the best outcome for us. So maybe if you can explain why, my behaviour or what I did or whatever has you feel this way or act this way, then maybe we might get to the bottom of it. And even though that sounds like a whole lot of Dr. Phil bullshit, what it does is it actually holds a mirror up to that person where they've got to go, oh, Jesus, they're calling me on my behaviour. So I've either got to double down and justify it or change it. And if you can have that conversation once, twice, three times, very non-combatively and non-aggressively, and that's the key to it, because if you become combative or aggressive, then you feed into their insecurities, and then that boss will probably end up being more of a pain in the ass. But in my experience, people I've worked with who have been really difficult, when I actually go out of my way to be more connected to them and understand them and try and help them get what they want to do, then they end up being much better. So if you use the example of people who throw negative comments around about me on social media or whatever because of the strong life, often when I go back and engage with them and say, look, I don't agree, but why do you feel like that? Maybe this is the thing, what's happening? When you actually connect to them, often it diffuses a lot of their anger. So if you can make that person feel more comfortable in their role as your boss or your manager, then you're going to make your life a lot easier. Now, should you have to do that? No. Is it fair? No. Is it bullshit? Yep. But if you're looking for the best outcome that can give you the happiest, most peaceful career and the most happy and peaceful job you can have, then it's probably worth it. Because you're not doing it to make the other person happy, you're actually doing it to make you happy. You're actually doing it so your life can be more enjoyable. So that's when I say to you that, so that's probably a better place to be, is doing something to make your life more enjoyable It's not actually about the other person. When you can identify and work out why they're insecure and why they have the anger and the frustration and whatever they have going on, then you can see what it's about. And often, I believe, when you have bosses who are like that, number one, they're either under extreme pressure from the people above them to achieve unrealistic goals. And some people believe the old, whippings will continue until morale improves approach works. It doesn't work. It may well be that they just feel very insecure about the role and what they're doing and who they have underneath them. If you've got a star gun employee that's underneath you, then as a manager, if you're insecure about your ability, then all of a sudden that fear and anger and doubt flows through. But if you can try and identify why you feel like that might be the case and have a conversation with them that diffuses it and actually holds a mirror up so they've got to look at it, then you can put steps in place to try and improve that relationship in that situation. Then it makes your life more peaceful. I don't give a rat's ass about your boss and how difficult they are. I'm talking about you making some positive steps to make your life more enjoyable. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little video. So any questions you have, just send them through to me, private message at Strong Life Project Facebook group. Facebook message, sorry. There's a few more that are coming up, but keep sending them in. I haven't got 700 of them, so I've got enough for a few more days, but the more you guys send them in, the more we can do. So happy to answer your questions. It'll be anonymous and won't identify you. I'm doing this for you guys, so if you see benefit in it, please send in your questions and away we go. Have an amazing day. Go out and live with strength, tenacity, resilience, optimism, nurture and generosity. You'll be living a strong life. Talk to you soon.